Um, Hi everyone. So this particular recording is dedicated to the demonstration of the workings of the integration between HospitalPlus and the inventory management application. So as a way of a quick introduction, I have a diagram here that just illustrates the process flow. So as much as possible, I'm going to try to show all of these decision points or process flows in this demonstration. So, but on a high level, it would be expected that on a daily basis, or as transactions happen on a day-to-day basis and on a patient-by-patient interaction, the doctor will pick from a list, the list of drugs that are available. Now, that list that the doctor will pick from is going to be dynamic in the sense that only available drugs will be displayed in that list, and that availability of the drugs will be controlled by the part of the integration process. It will be controlled by the availability of the stock item on the inventory management app. So that's the very first communication between the two applications. So this line that you see here, we can consider it as the first channel of communication. This project actually has two channels of communication between the two apps. So the first one is the one that constantly updates the list of available drugs and renders only the available drugs to the doctor. That's the first channel of communication. Now, this channel of communication is going to be attached to a process that will run intermittently to do the checks, so it could be 5 minutes, it could be 2 minutes, as it's a very lightweight database request or database query, that is triggered from HospitalPlus, executed on the inventory management app side, and the result of the query is returned back to HospitalPlus, and that result is used to update the doctor's lists, and that's what we have here. So now when the doctor's list is updated, he can then proceed with prescribing drugs. So prescribing of drugs, as we are going to be seeing shortly, they are done for outpatients, at the pharmacy level, and they're also done by nurses. What this diagram means here is that prescription of drugs goes through inpatient and outpatient type of patients. That's what is trying to be depicted here. So for prescriptions that go through the nurses, there is a way that our system handles the inpatient dispensary. It is dispensed by the nurses. Even though it comes from the doctor, then the nurses generate a request using the doctor's prescription. Pharmacy approves that request, but the eventual dispensary is still done by the nurses. So, but for outpatient, it comes from the doctor. Doctor prescribes, pharmacy approves and dispenses, and it comes to outpatient dispensary. Now, whether it is outpatient dispensary or whether it is inpatient dispensary, they both end up on a log, a dispensary log. Now, this dispensary log has a status that we use to track what has been posted and what has not been posted yet. So this is the second channel of communication. This dispensary log serves as the source, the data source for the second channel of communication between HospitalPlus and the inventory management app. So the dispensary log we are referring to here represents sales transactions. So we have a communication channel that we call post-sales or post to inventory. So intermittently, we're going to be calling this channel. So this channel will look for on the dispensary log, it will look for items that have not been posted yet. And then it will grab a bunch of those items and then package it in a certain format and post it to the inventory app. Now, after posting it to the inventory app, on successful commit on the inventory app, the dispensary log is updated to have to the status of successfully posted transactions, so that it will not go back and pick those transactions again for posting. So now, after posting to the inventory app recognizes those posted items as successful sales. And when successful sales are recorded, it automatically impacts the stock balances, available in the inventory app. And that automatically affects the list of available items, because as the stocks are being depleted, there is a comparison that goes on to check if it is available or not available. And that takes us back to where we started off from, which is the doctor's list. So without human intervention, by merely posting of sales and doing all the computations in the background, the list that the doctor sees is affected by the event of posting of sales. So I'm going to try to demonstrate this with a few examples. So I'm going to move over now to the HospitalPlus section. So this is HospitalPlus. The application has not, the code modifications have not 100% been posted, deployed on the live. I'm currently using my local version to do this test. So as soon as approval is given, then it will be deployed and we can go live. So I'm going to check in a patient here, and I'm currently logged in as a doctor. Okay, so I'm going to just punch in some transactions. This diagnosis is required before I can put in medications. The system has a way of controlling introduction of drugs without the corresponding matching diagnosis. So let me just put in a few. All right, so that should be enough. All right, so we have diagnosis all registered now. So I will now be able to put in medication. So earlier, okay, so I'm still in as a doctor. The doctor drops down on this list, and what we see here are a list of drugs that are available. So like I said earlier, from the diagram I showed earlier, this list will grow longer or grow shorter depending on the outcome of computation of stock balance, which is affected by posting of sales. Okay, so I'm going to pick Septrin here, and I'm just going to just do a little modification to the prescription and put it in. I'll put in Fancida. Okay, and I'll just put it in, and then I'll take in say Dupaston. So this is the control I was talking about. I'm putting in Dupaston, but it's telling me I don't have a diagnosis that matches this. So let me just pick something else. No, same problem. Paracetamol. Okay, I put it in. All right. So I'm going to save all of this. All right, so that's done. So this particular patient is going to be representing outpatient example, the outpatient example. So I want to also set up an inpatient example. Let me see. Okay, so I'm going to put in the same diagnosis as I put in earlier. I want this particular patient to represent the inpatient example. Okay. I'll just put one more. Okay, so that it will allow me pick as many drugs as I wish. So all 4 diagnoses have been logged. I'll just give it a few seconds. Okay, now, so that's done. So next thing I'm going to do is to I'm going to put in medications, but this time around, I want to put in medication as inpatient. Okay. Okay, so I'm experiencing some system lag here. Let me see. Let me just refresh my screen. Yeah, I'm trying to recall the name of that particular. Okay, so I'm going to do something now. I'll just create a second instance that will access the patients that are currently being checked in. I'll do this as a front desk officer. And the reason why I'm doing this is I just want to look up the name of that patient so that the doctor can check in the patient again. So with this particular user, I'll be able to see the list of all the patients that have been checked in. Okay, so here we are. So so we have Olorunleke. I think that's the name I was looking for. Yeah. There you are. So go to diagnosis. Okay, good. So this is the patient. Yes. So I'm going to move on to admission, and then I'll just indicate that I want to admit this particular patient. I say, okay. So this patient is now an inpatient. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in prescriptions. Now, in the case of inpatient prescription, we did not limit this list to the dynamic list that is controlled by the inventory app, because we want whether the drug is available or not, we want the doctors to put in their medication or prescription, and then get the stock or the purchasing unit to put into consideration the necessary machinery or logistics that will make the drugs available. But it is it is not cast in stone. We can rearrange this or reconfigure this to deliver exactly what the doctor sees for outpatients. So this is what the doctor sees for inpatients. It's not limited. This is just showing all the drugs. All right, so I'll just pick same drugs. Just a second. I want to take a look at the names of those drugs. I'm going to come back here to explain this part. This is the inventory side. So we have Septrin 480 milligram, Tufaston 10 milligram. Consider, yes, Tab Maladox, Tufaston 10 milligram. Okay. Okay, so this patient is not allowed to use these drugs, and NHIS patient is forbidden to use the Tufaston. So let me just go with the third one, which is Septrin 480 milligram. Okay, this is good to go. So I key this in and I say save all. So those two drugs have now been saved as prescription, inpatient prescription. So I'm going to, so the doctor's job is done here. He has put in prescription for outpatient, and he has put in prescription for inpatient as well. So his job is done. So I'm going to check out from here, and okay, it wants me to put in some notes. So these notes are mandatory for inpatients. I think examination finding is also compulsory. And I think plan. So that we don't come back here, let me just put in something for history of presenting complaints. So I think those should be sufficient to check out this patient. Right. So we are done putting in the drug. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in as a nurse and try to make use of the doctor's prescription. Then at some point in the process, the pharmacist's role will come into play. And so, but just before I go in as a nurse, I have another instance here where I'm currently logged in as a front desk official. So for this particular patient, before the drugs can be prescribed, be dispensed rather, it needs to go through the pharmacy for approval. All right. So sorry to mix that up. So let me just go in as a nurse. Just a second. HZKQQ. I believe this should be the nurse, right? Good. This is the nurse. All right. All right. So this first name here, you can see the date 27, which is today's date. This is the name of the patient that was admitted today. And if I go to prescription, these are the two drugs that were prescribed. This status of the drugs is showing continue. It can be discontinued. Okay. So what the nurses practically do is that when they get to this place, they already see these transactions here. They have the option of bringing in theirs if the doctor hasn't done it already. But if the doctor has done it already and it is up to date, they don't need to do anything. All they need to do is generate their inpatient medication by clicking on this link here. And this is what it comes up with. So it just shows them a summary of the transactions that are about to be sent to the pharmacy as a stock request. So I click here to say save drug requests. On doing so, pharmacy gets a notification on their screen, or they are being called to action to attend to inpatient drug requests. So that's the next place we are going to now. So I'm going to log out from here and go in as pharmacy. All right. So logging in now as pharmacy. Okay. So it's already seen that there's a patient that requires attention, and that's this particular patient that is here. So I can click here or I can click here. So the reason why this is here is in case if there's a very long list of patients to be attended to here on this queue here, this one puts priority on any outstanding action that is pending on the side of pharmacy. It could be in the area of dispensary, it could be in the area of drug review. So this here is saying this is mandatory. Before you attend to another patient, you must attend to this particular patient because what is pending on this patient is very critical. So I click here and I go to medication. Okay, so it says all drugs must be reviewed. So this particular patient is a private patient, as stated here, but the pharmacy is unable to dispense this drug. If he attempts to dispense it, the system throws this error. You can only dispense items that have been cleared. This item is not cleared, and this red icon indicates the status of it not being cleared. So, but before it can be cleared, which is payment, it's payment that will clear this drug and turn the status color from red to blue. Pharmacy really has a responsibility to review all these drugs. You can click here to review all drugs, or you can selectively review one by one. Okay, so I will go with the review all. So at this point, pharmacy has fulfilled all the requirements here, but it cannot still dispense. So at this point, pharmacy will check out this patient so that the front desk can confirm payment. So I'm going to check out this patient. All right. And then I'm going to just click here to confirm that. Okay. So now at this point, one patient has gone back to the front desk to make payment. We have another patient that has a drug request coming from the inpatient side of things. So I want to attend to that patient now. Now, to attend to drug requests from pharmacy, we go to stock requests on the home page or the dashboard. So pharmacy will pick the nursing cabinet here to view list of, we have defaulted the date to today's date so that it picks items that are, applicable for today. So this is the only transaction that is pending as a stock request from the nursing cabinets. I'm currently logged in as pharmacy. So if I click on this request and I click submit, it will display the patient's requests. And this is it here. There are two items. And the requirement, the first one is just quantity of one, the second is quantity of two. So it can be modified here. That's why this is editable. So I'll just go ahead and approve. And once I approve, it will be, the ball will go back to the nurse's desk for acceptance. The acceptance is more like confirmation that they have received the stock items. And in addition to that, dispensary. Those are the two requirements that will now be on the table of the nurse. at this point, there's nothing else for the pharmacy to do in terms of making the drug available for the inpatient. So at this point, we'll be going to the front desk because the private patient that went to the front desk needs to make some payment. So I'm going to check this patient in. So here we are. So this is front desk, currently logged in as front desk. These are the drugs. And in addition to the drugs, it's also paying for consultation and single card renewal. So I'm going to just click on pay now. The pay now button shows a summation of all the items that are pending to be paid for. I'll click on any of these options for the method of payments. And I can, of course, this box here is editable to indicate the exact amount that was collected in terms of maybe cash or transfer, so that the system can compute if there is a balance or a change to be given to the patient. So I'm going to click on save here, and this will effect the transaction of payment and thereby clearing the patient of all outstanding charges. So here's the receipt that will be printed from the POS device, POS printer. So I'm going to check out from here now and go back to pharmacy. Because at this point, pharmacy now has a role to play because the patient has been cleared. I'm currently in as pharmacy. So this blue background is showing that this patient has been cleared and needs to be attended to. It's the color code that the pharmacy department are very much aware of. So this was initially red. It's now showing blue, which indicates that the patient has been cleared for payment. So the check boxes here will be clicked one after the other, and clicking them represents dispensary. So I'm going to click one after the other. And that is it. So from the outpatient's perspective, dispensary is completed. So I will now check out this patient and now switch back to the nurse. The nurse has to complete their own dispensary from their own nursing table. So I'm going in as a nurse. Okay. Oops, this is still pharmacy. Sorry. The nurse should be 222. Yeah. Okay. So I'm in as a nurse. I'll click on this patient here, the first one, which is carrying today's date, and notice that the system is prompting me to accept, kindly confirm the drugs collected from pharmacy, and then commit all dispensed drugs. So it's telling me that I should confirm that I collected 1 unit of Maladox Fancida tab, and I should also confirm that I collected 2 units of Septrin 480 milligram tab. So this is the acceptance part. Clicking one button. So this is just showing two. If there were 5, 10 different drugs and their quantities, they will all be displayed here. So, and without acceptance here, the system will not allow you to view the patient's profile. So it's absolutely mandatory to accept. Now, after accepting, this is the next step. The next step is the dispensary. So here it's showing that the total supplied is 1 for Fancida, 2 for Septrin. It is not editable. Total dispense is showing 0 for this particular patient. And then this is what is to be dispensed. It has defaulted to what was approved. So as the patient spends day 1, day 2, day 3 in hospital ward, these figures will be accumulating. And of course, they will all be translating to total dispensary. So here I'm going to just click on dispense all to say that I have dispensed this patient's drugs. And immediately afterwards, I can now see the patient's profile in case if I want to do another prescription or another drug request. So at this point, inpatient prescription is complete. Outpatient prescription and dispensary, they are both complete. So the next stage now is where we take a look at the log. We take a look at the log. Yeah, so we've come from this point, we've passed through this point, we've taken a look at outpatient dispensary and inpatient dispensary. We want to take a look at what the dispensary log looks like now. So I'm just going to come to database here, and I'll just say, all right, I can just pick the name of the table from here. The name of the table is visit dispensary items. Yeah. So I'm going to sort it in descending orders of date created. So notice that we have 27th of February, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items representing the 5 transactions belonging to 2 patients that we have used in the example so far. So if you scroll to the extreme right, you will notice that there are 2 columns: sync yes, no, showing 0, 0 all true, and the sync time is also showing null. So these are the 2 columns that is used to monitor what has been posted and what has not been posted yet. So the communication channel that I mentioned earlier, which is for posting sales transactions with the inventory management software, picks on successful posting, it will update this process. So that process, like I said, is going to be happening at intermittent sessions or periods, maybe 5 minutes, 2 minutes, or what have you. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to run it manually to simulate what I'm talking about. So this is what the URL looks like post sales transactions. I only have to run it once, and it will perform the required task. So this process will be expected to run from time to time, maybe every 5 minutes, every 3 minutes, and so on and so forth. So on doing so, what has happened is that these items have moved to this section. It has impacted sales on the inventory database, and automatically will affect the list of available items. So I'm going to move on to the sales side of things. I'm currently logged in to the sales application. I'll just log out and log in again. So this application was built with a very popular PHP framework called Laravel, and has a huge developer support. They release versions upgrades from time to time that we can take advantage of in the near future. So I'm going to go straight to sales, and I go to sales list. And under the sales list, we're going to take a look at, okay, so I'm seeing 2 transactions here, even though the date here is not correct. This is showing me 28th of February. I think somehow on the server side, there must be an explanation for this, but I want to believe that these are the 2 transactions. These are the 2 sales that have been posted, and we're going to verify it shortly. So for the first one, let's use the name to track. The name of this patient is Adedeji Abosede. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the HospitalPlus here, and I want to confirm if that is correct. So this is Adedeji Abosede. Okay, and I want to look at the medication that was given. So there are 3 medications that were given: paracetamol syrup, Septrin, and Fancida. If I go back to the POS application, so I can see Septrin and Fancida here. So the paracetamol didn't go through. There must be a reason for that. So I would like to come back to that. This is Adeja. So these two stock items have been submitted as sales that have happened. This is just like a receipt of the transaction. If we take a look at the second transaction, this is the name here is Aruya Olorunleke. So let me check out of this and check this in. So okay. So here we have Septrin and Fansida also 2-1. So that's what we have here as well. Okay. So this is so this particular quantities that has impacted the database over here on the sales app automatically affect the lists that the doctor will see next, because it doesn't end here. It comes to this point, does an update based on computation, and then the doctor's list will either show or hide a stock item depending on whether it has quantity to be dispensed or not. That is, what we have there particularly is if it is greater than 0. That is what we have there. If the stock balance is greater than 0, show it. Otherwise, don't show it. So so the next thing I'm going to do now is I'll just walk us through some of the reports that show the sales activities. One very important report that I think captures a whole lot of it is this warehouse report. So the warehouse report, I'm going to pick pharmacy. Yeah, so we have set up warehouses. The warehouses is what we call stock location. So each of the stock location has been represented as warehouses on the application. We can actually transfer stock items from one stock location to another, or from one warehouse to another. In this case of this example, the purchase was done directly into the pharmacy store, which is also possible. You can purchase directly into any specific store, but we can still follow the same workflow of purchasing directly into the external store and then transferring from the external store to the internal store, and from the internal store to the pharmacy store, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what we are currently looking at is a summary of sales. So here is showing that for this particular sales transaction on the 28th of February, that's a date issue. Okay, so it's showing that these 2 items were dispensed, and it's showing the grand total of the cost of that sales. Okay, and it's also doing the same for the second transaction here. So these are the 2 transactions that were brought in today. Okay, so we can also see for previous days. This particular list can be exported to Excel. It can be printed as PDF. Let me just, okay, so this is in CSV form. I'm going to open it up. So this is it. This is a summary of what has been sales transactions. Yeah. Okay. So it can be done for any of the stores. Yeah. So this is sales. We can go to purchase. Now this is showing us the date of purchase. So on the 20th of February, there was a purchase that was done for the items that we have used as an example today. So we've used Septrin, Dupastone, and Fansida. So, but these items were purchased directly into the pharmacy store on the 20th of February, and it is showing us the cost of that purchase. So this is representing quotations. There was none. This is representing return. None. This is representing expense. So so one final thing I'm going to show here is the communication channel that updates the doctor's list. So before I do that, I'm going to display the list of items that from the back end that that is used to render what the doctor sees. So this is the list of drugs. I'm going to order it in descending orders of this quantity here. So I want you to just notice these numbers here. Okay. So these are the items, okay, that are showing up on the doctor's list. So anything that has 0 is not going to show up on the doctor's list. So these are the items that you expect to see on the doctor's list. Anything greater than 0. Okay. So I'm going to how can I keep? All right. So I will. Okay. Since this is a recorded video, you can do a rewind to compare previous and current. So I'm going to run the endpoint that updates the balances, and the expected result is that these figures should change, especially for Dufaston and Septrin, if I'm not mistaken. Let me confirm those items that were actually sold. Okay, Septrin and Fancida. Septrin and Fancida are expected to change. So let me just take note of the values for Septrin and Fancida. So Septrin here is this value. Fancida is this value. Okay. Okay, this is Septrin. And this is Fancida. Okay, so I'm going to run that communication channel now. Like I said, it's going to run intermittently behind the scene, and that is it. So if I come back to this page, I just have to refresh this database, and we now have a new set of values. So I'm going to pick up. Let me confirm that this value represents, this is Septrin. So Septrin here is showing me this value. I'm going to place it beside this. And then I want to believe this should be Fancida. Yes, this is Fancida. So the value for Fancida, this is what is happening on the back end. And immediately, without any need for any intervention from the doctor's end, his list will be affected. Now, he won't notice anything that has happened if he still has a quantity greater than 0. But the moment it is less than 0 or equal to 0, that item will be off the list. It will no longer be on the list of items that he can pick from. So, in summary, what we have been able to achieve is what we are seeing in this diagram, which is actually phase 1 of this project of reorganizing the workflow process of the dispensary. Of course, it's just the first step. There are probably things that can be done to further improve on it and make it more sophisticated. So, but this is the very first step in that direction. So I will be happy to see your contributions, suggestions, questions, and of course, we can do another demonstration, live demonstration, or at your convenient time. So this whole process was put together by myself and Ozioma, who we are yet to meet, but he's a very wonderful guy and very patient too. We've been through the thick and thin of the project together, so you'll be meeting with him soonest. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Look forward to hearing from you soon. Yeah, bye.